Let me tell you something. New York is the greatest fucking city in the world. My city. I was a kid in these streets. I started in a fucking gutter, and I made it to the top. This life ends one of two ways: dead or in jail. I did both.
Hey guys, welcome back to Horsetooth Cinema. I hope some of my fellow trash movie enthusiasts will have enjoyed that intro. Today I'm going to be reviewing Scream 6, which is the newest entry in the Scream franchise, of course, and this is directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette, who directed the last entry. This story picks up on 4 survivors of the Ghostface murders that leave Woodsboro behind for a fresh start in New York City. However, they soon find themselves in a fight for their lives once again when a new killer embarks on a bloody rampage. So I mentioned this in my Scream 5 video, but I just wanted to give a little background on this in case you haven't seen that video. I have a really weird relationship with Scream movies. Years and years ago, I saw Scream 3. That was the first one I saw at just a sleepover, just somebody threw it on randomly. I thought, okay, this is whatever. It wasn't until years later, actually last year before the new one came out, that I actually went back and watched the first one. And then I still haven't seen 2 and 4. That's my bad, but I really want to see them. I've heard they're good, but I haven't checked them out yet. I think the first Scream is really good. It's really clever. It's really funny. It has some pretty nice horror set pieces in it. I don't love it quite as much as some people do, and it's not my favorite Wes Craven movie. That would definitely have to be Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. Scream 3 is okay, like I said, and then I liked 5 enough. I would probably, in my review that you can still watch on YouTube, I think I was more positive in that review than I would be if I were to go back and revisit it now. It hasn't stuck with me really at all, and I just remember, having a good time watching it overall. So I'd give it like the lowest of possible 3-star ratings. And I was really looking forward to 6, but with my work schedule and everything, I've had kind of a hard time carving out the time to go see it. No pun intended. The only showing I could find after work last night was in 3D. And I really didn't want to see the movie in 3D. I don't usually like going to see movies in 3D, but it was really the only time I would have time to go see it, and I definitely wanted to get a review out there before I go leave for a vacation soon. And I just want to say before I get into the actual review, don't see this movie in 3D. It's not a Jaws 3D or Friday the 13th Part 3 situation where they're, it's the 3D is like this trashy gimmick and there's all these like gore gags that pop out of the screen at you. It's not really like that, and it's also not like an Avatar situation where like the whole world has been, thought out in 3D and it was shot that way. This is clearly something that they just went back to and, kind of retrofitted it, if that would be my guess at least, because the 3D in this is really uninspiring and it's pretty much pointless for the most part. And I don't know how much seeing the movie in 3D impacted my overall experience, but I really did not care for this movie, and I was quite disappointed, to be honest. I do want to start with the things I liked though, because I was kind of flip-flopping on how I felt about this overall. I would say like many of the Scream movies, the opening set piece is really good. It has some funny kind of meta humor in it, and the way it's paced I think is really tense and effective. There's also a twist that I definitely won't spoil, but it basically hits right at the end of this alley set piece early on. And it's really, really fresh to have that kind of a twist for a Scream movie. But I will say I do wish that they had done more with this twist. In terms of the overall, impact of the statement that the movie is trying to make, it's kind of new twist on the Scream franchise. This initial twist doesn't have as much of an impact on that. It's more just to kickstart where the rest of the movie goes. And so in that way, it's kind of fun, but I really just wish it had more of an impact. Another thing I really liked was that this is a surprisingly very gory entry, one of the gorier entries in the franchise. They really make an emphasis on making the gore and the kills like kind of in your face and very painful looking. And I can definitely always appreciate that. But honestly, that's about it, guys. I really am kind of struggling with positive things to come up with here. A lot of the set pieces after that initial one, like later in the movie, I did find to be quite disappointing, to be honest. Mainly just because of how derivative they were of other entries in the Scream franchise. There's even one that takes like a certain set piece from Jurassic Park, like beat for beat, like it's exactly the same thing. I did like the premise of the ladder set piece overall, where they're trying to climb from one building to another over a ladder. It's a cool idea. I just think that the tension isn't really there for me in that scene. And honestly, I have to think that a lot of that must just have to do with the fact that this, like the fifth one, isn't directed by Wes Craven. Craven is probably one of the most skilled horror directors of all time, and I think in these last two films, you really do feel the lack of his presence. Even in a movie that he directs that isn't great in the Scream franchise, like Scream 3, I prefer a lot of the set pieces in that movie to the ones in these later too. As I was kind of alluding to, some of the set pieces are just ripped from like previous entries in the franchise, and there's one particular one that involves a legacy character that I won't spoil. But basically what happens to her in this sequence is basically ripped straight out of the last movie, and because of that, it's like I'm picturing the structure of where the movie is going to go in my mind, right? Because it's kind of a murder mystery. You're figuring out who is who and what's going to happen to the characters. And as soon as we cut to this legacy character, I was like, oh, okay. Since I saw the last one, I know what's going to happen in this sequence. And in Scream 5 as well, I did like some of the meta aspects that the Scream franchise is very well known for. It kind of dealt with aspects of franchise horror now that the Scream movies are kind of, going on and on and on. And I also I liked that it kind of dealt with the whole like slasher versus elevated horror sort of thing. The execution of that wasn't always great. Sometimes it became a bit obnoxious, but I at least liked that it was kind of exploring new territory. In Scream 6, they really just go a lot further with this sort of franchise, horror meta commentary, to the point where the movie almost ceases to be its own script. It just completely deflates the tension for me when you have characters just sitting around in a circle and talking about all of the different ways in which the movie could play out, and okay, like a version of some of this is gonna happen. And sure, there's aspects to the final twist that are somewhat surprising, I guess, but there are also aspects of it that I could see coming from a mile away. I just feel like the whole thing with Scream is starting to just become very tired and played out. They've kind of just run out of ways to make the meta stuff interesting, to the point where now they're just having characters reference like Letterboxd and, like shitty film student assignments and stuff like that. I think if they want to continue these and make them somewhat entertaining, they should probably just resort to the, Halloween sequels, or better yet, like the Friday the 13th sequels route of just making complete schlock. At one point early on in the movie, there's a character who's sitting in his apartment watching Jason Takes Manhattan, and I think that movie is kind of like, the camp of it is certainly like a direction I think they need to go in. Fortunately, there is an aspect of the ending that for me kind of hints that they might be going in a direction like that. I don't want to spoil it, but it seems like it could be very similar to the sort of transference that occurs in, say, at the end of Halloween 4, the one that's sort of implied throughout the entirety of Friday the 13th Part 5. Although if Halloween 4 and Friday the 13th 5 are what they're aspiring to in this next film, I don't have very high expectations. I don't know, I feel like they need to find a way to wrap it up, because it is getting quite stale, at least for me at this point. But a lot of people do like this movie. I guess I can understand why. There are some good set pieces in there. It is one of the gorier entries, so if you're a slasher fan, I can recommend at least going to check it out. But for me, I was looking forward to it too, and I was definitely really disappointed. So I'm gonna give this 2 stars for now. I was a little bit flip-flopping, like maybe I'd go with a light 3, but I think I do like this less than 5 for the most part. So yeah, unfortunately I can't really recommend it to everybody, but yeah, some people will probably find enjoyment out of this. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please like it down below and subscribe to the channel. So I'll be on a trip for about 10 days or so here, so I won't be posting any videos anytime then. But after that, yeah, I should be getting back to some more like reviews content. I can't wait for John Wick 4 to come out. I'm super excited for that. And I'm also going to be doing a little video on like movies that have scared me the most, some kind of list content like that. So yeah, just stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.